I'm JC and welcome to the Arsenal Box. I hope you're all doing well today and not too sore after what was a tough result to swallow, losing 5-0 to Manchester City away from home at the Etihad. Pressure is certainly starting to build more and more on Mikel Arteta. Will he still be in the job after the international break? It's 3 defeats from 3 games, Arsenal's worst start to a campaign since the 1950s. And we'll be going through all the reasons, stats and numbers for why it just didn't work against Manchester City. Please do like the video if you enjoy and subscribe if you're new around here. But let's waste no more time at all and jump straight into things. Kicking off with the starting 11 and formation that Arteta opted for. One positive for me at least was the change in formation to a 3-4-3 formation. Something that I've wanted for quite some time now. Arteta has been successful using this system in the past, winning the FA Cup, beating the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea along the way. But is it too little too late, or an opportunity for him to utilise this moving forwards? Unfortunately for me, where it went wrong was 2 things. Number 1, Granit Xhaka got sent off for a stupid challenge. Yes, we were 2-0 down at this point, but it completely changes the game. And secondly, it was the personnel used in this particular system. I think Kolasinac and Chambers were out of their depth, and Cedric just didn't look comfortable or right playing as a wing back. And we do know that Kieran Tierney has played well as a left centre back, Bukayo Saka as a left wing back, and even Maitland-Niles as a wing back. There was that game he played against Liverpool in the Community Shield where he played as a wing back and done very well, marking Mane out of the game completely. Now, if we had to pick players who've done well against City, Holding had a fairly decent game for one that finished 5-0, and then the rest of the boys, it was certainly a big learn for them. I do feel sorry for the likes of Saka, Martin Odegaard, who's just signed on a permanent basis, Kieran Tierney and Emile Smith-Rowe. It's difficult because we had the likes of Pablo Mauri and Tavares who played well on the bench against West Brom in midweek, and it's just an absolute selection nightmare in my opinion. Will Arteta get the opportunity to turn things around in our next Premier League game after the international break? Will he continue to use his system? I hope he does. And will he opt for different players? I know I've said this in previous videos, but we still do have vital first team players out like Partey and Gabriel, as well as others. Will it make a difference? It's something yet to be seen. Up next, we have match stats with City on the left and Arsenal on the right. As I've said in previous videos, match stats aren't always necessarily the reason for why a team will win or lose a game. But on this occasion, they're absolutely damning. 81% possession for City, 25 shots, 10 on target. Arsenal had 1 shot. 1 shot in the entire game, 0 on target. Now, these videos are not about ranting and raving. I'm not here to put Arsenal in a negative light, nor the players or the manager for that matter. But I think playing against City with 11 men is difficult. Playing against City with 10 men is just ridiculous. They take teams apart. And I don't think we need to over-analyse these stats and numbers. The game speaks for itself. We know where things went wrong. Xhaka being sent off after just 30 minutes, being 2-0 down at that point, just makes that task and mountain even harder to climb. But by all means, if you want to pause the video at this point and digest these stats in a little bit more detail, you're more than welcome to, and drop your comments down below on any thoughts or questions you might have in relation to some of these numbers. Probably my favourite part of bringing you these match reports, heat maps and average positioning of each player in their respective formations. I feel as though it tells a much bigger story as to why a team may have won a game. It shows us areas a team may have exploited, areas that players were utilised in order to break other teams down, including where their passes came from, and their general positioning, which opened other teams up. Now, we've got Manchester City on the left and Arsenal on the right. And in the top left-hand corner, we can immediately see that City have essentially covered their entire area of the pitch there, compared to Arsenal, who were penned into their own 18-yard box for the most part of the game with only 18 to 19% possession. Manchester City dictated the game from midfield like they do in many of their games. We know that Pep Guardiola loves to keep possession of the ball and have midfield play those sexy passes, those diagonals for the runs from Mahrez, Sterling, Ferran Torres, Jesus. They all played very well, and Gundogan yesterday was exceptional in my opinion. And we can see here, looking at Arsenal, obviously going down to 10 men didn't help things, and the selection nightmare with the likes of Kolasinac and Chambers playing in a system that they clearly weren't comfortable in really kind of played into Manchester City's hands. And again, whilst I say it tells a bigger story, given how poorly things went yesterday, I don't think that we need to over-analyse and say that, you know, it was the left winger, for example, who really opened Arsenal up, or maybe they're overlapping or underlapping right back in Cancelo, who opened Arsenal up. It was just an absolute nightmare in terms of tactics, selection, and Xhaka being sent off early on in the game. But by all means, pause the video, digest it at your own pace, pop your comments down below, and I'll get back to each and every one of your comments. Here we have two quotes from Arteta and Aubameyang after the game. Arteta was, of course, a very frustrated figure. No wins on the board, no goals scored. Arsenal's worst start to a campaign since the 1950s. I think Arteta deep down knows that he's under a lot of pressure, and there were some decisions during the game that he wasn't too happy with. For example, one of the goals, he feels as though Callum Chambers was hit in the face, which I do have to agree with. It was viewed by VAR, nothing happened, goal given, and yet just a few minutes later, Kolasinac with a very similar challenge was given a booking. So there were some decisions on the day that didn't go our way. Obviously, Granit Xhaka didn't help things, and Arteta is disappointed with the challenge, especially with Granit Xhaka being a senior player, a player who's actually captained the side once again recently. The one thing that interested me the most, though, was Aubameyang's comments after the game. He and the players know that they're not good enough at the moment. They need to be honest with themselves. They need to raise their levels. And it does seem as though that there is going to be an internal meeting between the players to see if there's anything they can do after the international break. We've got two big games against smaller sides, if you will, before playing Spurs in a North London derby, which is absolutely huge in the grand scheme of things. There were many other comments and quotes made in the post-match media duties, all of which are available on the Arsenal website. By all means, go and have a little look. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below around some of these quotes that were made. Does it anger you? Do you agree with them? Let me know, and I'll get back to each and every one of you. So this brings today's video to a close. Probably the toughest video I've had to record on the channel since the beginning of the transfer window. And the reason being is it was very straightforward as to why Arsenal lost against City. When we look at the Brentford and the Chelsea game, there is much more to analyse to understand why a game was won or lost. But the City game, it was very straightforward. It came down to two things: Xhaka being sent off and the selection being wrong. Had Xhaka stayed on and we would have nicked a goal before half-time, it could have been a very different game that unfolded. Either way, I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and if you have done, please do hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here, and it does look like we've got a bit of a break from Arsenal during this international break, so I'll catch you guys in a couple of weeks. But for now, I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one.